Hey guys, what's up and welcome back here for another episode with some Pod Limit OMA content. My name is Luke and I'm a Pod Limit OMA player and coach creating content here on my YouTube channel for all of you who are interested in the great game of PLO. Now I just finished my session playing some Pod Limit OMA on GG Poker, and there were some interesting hands that came up that I want to share with all of you and see if there's something that I can do better in my next session, but also that we can all learn something from. So I would say let's jump into that immediately. We're gonna focus a lot on pre-flop decisions as well, because I strongly believe that is maybe even the most important street of the game, because it does happen every time and it also will have a big impact on the rest of the hand. So I would say let's jump into it, guys, and if you have any questions about these hands, then make sure to use the comment section below the video and I will definitely check it out and get back to you. The first hand of the session that is kind of interesting is where I am sitting in the small blind with ace-9, 6-5 double suited. I face a cutoff raise and a button 3-bet, and I have a decision to make whether I should fold, call, or potentially 4-bet. Now in game, I did decide to come over the top, called 4-betting, and this is one of my 4-bet bluffs. I do have the ace blocking ace-ace. I am double suited. I have some connectivity with the 3 lower side cards, and I also unblock combinations that my opponent should fold against my 4-bet. So for example, king-king and queen-queen should often fold versus a cold 4-bet. My opponent does decide to get the money in, so he obviously has ace-ace here almost always. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to stack off now that we get such a good price. The button will also come in, so we're gonna go 3-way to the flop. We're actually not all in yet, which is quite interesting because now the cutoff is going to shove all the money into the middle and the button actually decides to fold. And that is great news for us, right? Because the button invested already 100 big blinds into the middle pre-flop and now decides to fold. So that is an amazing result for myself and also for my opponent in a way. So we're gonna get the money in. First run out, my opponent wins. And the second run out, luckily, I take down with the 3 of clubs, rivering a straight there, and I do win half of the pot. So my question now is, was this pre-flop play correct? Is this a potential cold 4-bet or was this out of line? And I'm using PLO Trainer to do the analysis with me. And PLO Trainer, for those of you who don't know, is a software that runs in the browser and that stores hundreds of thousands of pre-flop and post-flop solutions that you can access within a few clicks. So that is what we're gonna do right now. I opened up the right pre-flop solution for small stakes on GG Poker. And we're gonna open the setup that we're looking for. So the cutoff will raise, the button will 3-bet, and it's up to the small blind, which is myself. Now the small blind is only calling 0.11% and 4-betting 4.5% and folding 95.39%. So the first takeaway is here that you have to do a lot of folding, guys, in this situation, which is not really a surprise, maybe because we're facing a raise and a 3-bet. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the matrix view to analyze my play. Now the matrix view is a new feature inside PLO Trainer, which you can use to analyze your pre-flop game plan. And that is what we're gonna do. Now, the matrix view is this grid of 13 by 13 that you might be familiar with if you, for example, come from No Limit Hold'em. And it basically stores our entire range. Now, you can use it 2 ways. Either select your 2 highest cards or a pair in your hand. And for my play, I'm going to start with the 2 highest cards in my hand, which are ace-9. I'm looking down at ace-9, 6-5 double suited, guys. Ace-9 is all the way up here in the grid. If I click on it, we go to the next level. And over here, we see ace-9, which is now locked. And we see all possible other 2 side cards for our holding. Now, the first thing that you can see is in red, all the cold 4-bets, and in blue, all the folds. No surprise, on the edges, we see if you have ace-9 with an additional ace in your hand, you have ace-ace, and then you're always going to 4-bet in this situation. But there are some other 4-bets here in the middle as well. And we can isolate this a little bit more efficiently by using the filters on the right side. Especially if I filter for double suited, we will see right away that there is some cold 4-betting here if you don't have ace-ace in your hand. Especially if you are strongly connected with your ace and your 9 with the 2 other side cards. For example, ace 10, 9, 8. If I highlight this by selecting it, it will mark it in yellow. And in the left side in the details window, we do see the actual hand. And we do see that this is, for example, a cold 4-bet. Now, if we go down in the range, we do see that hands like ace 9, 8, 7 are a cold 4-bet, or ace 9, 7, 6. And if we take a look into my specific holding, ace 9, 6, 5, which is just below the edge of the cold 4-betting range. So I was just a little bit too loose and aggressive in this situation. Ace 9, 7, 5 is fine to cold 4-bet, but this combination is a little bit too weak. So kind of interesting to visualize this using the matrix. We see all the folds on the edges here, and only the 4-bets are the strongest, most connected ones, basically. Let's take a look into one more hand, guys, where I am on the button. I have ace, jack, 9, 9, single suited to the jack. And I actually decide to 3-bet my hand as a bluff. Like, this is a 3-bet where my intention is to fold out hands like king, king and queen, queen that are sitting in the blinds, or that the opponent in the cutoff was initially open raising with. Unfortunately, he does make the call, and we go heads up to the flop. The flop is 10, 7, 3 rainbow, and on this board, my opponent checks. And on this flop, I'm using a strategy where I'm either checking back or betting full pot as my only sizing. And that is because I do have a decent amount of hands in my range that have enough equity to bet full pot and then stack off, but that don't necessarily play amazing on turns and rivers. So I'm betting full pot to make my opponent's life as difficult as possible and play the hands in my range that do want to bet as efficiently as possible. If I'm using a full pot bet sizing, I will also make sure that I sometimes slow play some of my very best hands in order to make sure that I have some strong hands in my checking range. So this hand, I did decide to bet full pot, and with the intention to, if I get shoved on, I do fold against the raise because I don't have enough equity to stack off with my gutter and pair of 9s. Now, the reason that I do bet full pot is because I am somewhat connected around the 10 and the 7, right? I'm blocking a lot of my opponent's best made hands and draws because I'm so connected to the 10 and the 7. Now, obviously, I don't block a pair on the board, which is unfortunately betting full pot with a 10 or a 7 would be a lot better. But sometimes we do have to go with hands like this, in my opinion, as well. And therefore, I did decide to go for a full pot. My opponent check raises all in, and I do end up folding against the check raise. Let's analyze both pre-flop and post-flop using PLO Trainer one more time. Again, starting off with pre-flop, we're going to go to the scenario, what we want to investigate. So this is button versus the cutoff. You will see the button being highlighted in green on the table and also in the action bar on top. Now the button is 3-betting 8.75%. You can see that in the range view in red. And the question is ace, jack, 9, 9, single suited to the jack a 3-bet or not? I'm going to use the matrix view to find the answer to this question. So we're clicking on there. There are two ways to find your hand. You can either select your pair in the hand or the 2 highest cards in your hand. And for this example, I'm starting off with the pair. All the pairs are shown in the middle of the diagonal, 9, 9 all the way in the middle. And before moving on, it's important to note that in the matrix that all the good suit variations are shown on the top right side of the diagonal, and all the bad suit variations are shown on the bottom left side of the diagonal. Now, a good suit variation means that you are suited to the highest card in your hand, and a bad suit variation means that you are not suited to the highest card in your hand. Let's find ace, jack, 9, 9. I'm clicking on 9, 9, and here we will see all hands in our range that do have 9, 9 in there. We can already see in red that there is some 3-betting. In green, we will see all the calls, and in blue, all the folds. So again, we have 9, 9 selected, and the other 2 side cards are shown in the grid. Now, the first thing I like to do is I want to investigate the difference between double-suited and single-suited hands. There are the filters on the right side, and if I start off with double-suited, we will see all the double-suited hands shown up. And here we will see that if we have an ace with our 9, 9, we are always going to 3-bet. There's one other example here, 10-9-9-8. But other than that, we don't 3-bet unless we have a double paired hand here shown in the middle. If we go to single suited, we do see that there is some 3-betting on top. Again, if you have an ace with it, so for example, ace jack 9-9 suited to the ace is a 3-bet. You'll see that on the left side in the details window. And if we're looking at the bad suit variations, which are shown on the left side of the diagonal, and again, we're looking for ace jack 9-9. If I select this, I do see that ace jack 9-9 is supposed to be a 3-bet pre-flop. Let's also take a look whether my hand was supposed to be bet on the flop or not. First up, cut off against the button on 10-7-3 rainbow. The out of position player is checking 90.78%. I think simplifying to check everything is completely fine to make the strategy more implementable. Now, if the out of position player checks and it's up to the button, the first thing to note is that the button is checking back 43.48%. So I think it's a common mistake on a board like this to bet too often. For example, with your overpairs like ace-ace. Ace-ace are not always going to bet and stack off here. If I filter for ace-ace, we do see that over 30% of the time we are, for example, supposed to check back with ace-ace. Now, if we take a look into ace-jack 9-9, and figure out whether this hand is supposed to be a check or a bet, we do see that this hand primarily likes to check back, which is what we can see on the left side in green. All these variations are checking back. There is a little bit of betting on the right side, but I think simplifying it usually here to check everything is the play. One thing to take a look into our range play and specifically focus on our hand class is to use the categories on the left side here at the bottom. And if I find my hand class, which is a 1-pair holding with a straight draw, I'm going to go to 1 pair here, which is what we see 37% of the time checking. Now, if I open up this hand class further, we see different types of 1-pair holdings that we can have. Now, we didn't have an overpair or a top pair or a middle pair or a bottom pair. We're actually looking down at a pocket pair. If I open this one up and scroll down a bit further, we do see that a hand like ace-jack 9-9, but any pocket pair with a straight draw is actually checking back 95% of the time. And we do see that if our hand becomes weaker, so we have a pocket pair with only a straight draw blocker, now in that situation, we do actually decide to bet full pot. So I think that our hand simply has a little bit too much equity to risk betting and stacking off, and therefore our hand performs a lot better in the check back line. And if we take a look into my specific holding with the jack high backdoor flush draw, for example, this one with the backdoor diamonds, we do see that the EV difference is 0.36. In other words, 36 big blinds per 100. So definitely a significant mistake, in my opinion, in comparison to the size of the pot. So a little bit too loose of a bet. Now, what are hands in our range that we are potting and then folding versus a check raise? Only 12%, so we're not bet folding that often. But we have some bet folds, for example, Queen Jack 8-6. It's a sort of similar types of hand, but no showdown value with that combination. If we scroll down a little bit more, King Jack 9-6 could be a hand to pot and then fold. So again, we have the Jack, we have the 9, we have the 6. We are somewhat wrapped around the 10 and the 7, but we have no showdown value. And that's it for this session, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you do so, then please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out plomastermind.com if you want to learn more about Pot Limit OMA running a big sale for Black Friday starting November 25th of this month. So let's check it out, guys. If you have any questions, again, use the comment section below and I will catch all of you in the next session.